Before we dive into today's story, subscribing, liking, and turning on notifications gives our channel incredible strength to keep uncovering mysterious truths. Please watch until the end and share your thoughts in the comments. Deep within the pine forest of Georgia lies a bizarre ruin that few dare to enter. Once a forbidden city called the Mecca of the West, it now stands as a cluster of moss-covered black stone, holding the madness of the past in a cold, heavy silence. At the time, followers worshipped the master of this place as a living god and a pharaoh. He claimed to be an extraterrestrial being who came to save Earth. His followers staked their lives on his every word, willingly surrendering their souls to this bizarre kingdom he built. However, the identity of this veiled leader was not a savior, but a master architect who wrote a meticulously calculated script. Using mysticism and fear, he created one of the most reclusive communities in American history. Now we uncover the hideous truths hidden behind these flashy pyramids.
They reveal everything.
The madness began in the chaotic streets of Brooklyn in the 1960s. Approaching those lost amidst social turmoil, he promised a secret paradise. It was the first step in a long journey to isolate and mentally dominate his followers. He was a master of transformation, constantly erasing his past and wearing new masks. Whether as a religious leader, a cowboy, or an ancient sage, his ever-changing persona instilled a sense of mystery, elevating him to an absolute being.
Every
He
word
cunningly
etched
mixed
into our
various
souls.
religious doctrines to create his
light
own chaotic
sustains
logic.
us.
He changed his name frequently, inducing followers to follow him alone. Amidst information overload, followers began to accept only his words as the ultimate truth. In 1993, as outside surveillance tightened, he led a mass exodus to Eatonton, Georgia. To build a kingdom completely cut off from the world, he left the city and hid deep within the forest. On the red soil of Georgia, Tama-Re, a recreation of an ancient Egyptian city, revealed its grandeur. As massive pyramids and sphinxes were erected, followers felt they had reached a promised land. But behind this construction lay the blood and exploitation of the followers. Inside the kingdom, children were educated under strict control from birth. They learned a bizarre language instead of external ones, and were brainwashed to follow the leader over their own parents, raised as mere components of a bizarre empire. The master architect's authority reached a level beyond reproach. He was the law and the god, controlling everything from private lives to property. Tama-Re looked like a grand kingdom, but it was a rotting, massive mental prison.
The time
Inside
for waiting
the
is
walls,
over.
he spun
The time
even
for
more bizarre
action
logic
is
that could not be
now.
explained by science.
And claim the
Cut off
victory
from
that is
external
rightfully
information,
ours.
followers believed his absurd daily stories to be the only truth. Surprisingly, his followers included many elites like professors and doctors, lured by the promise of lost ancient knowledge. To enter the kingdom, one had to give up everything. Followers donated all assets, losing their economic freedom. This financial isolation became a cruel trap, leaving them with nowhere to return once they realized the truth. High walls and armed guards ensured no one could leave without permission. Contact with the outside world was blocked, and internal affairs became a forbidden secret. Every night, grueling indoctrination continued, paralyzing their rational thinking with sleep deprivation and repetitive learning. The most shocking content of his scriptures was the discriminatory interpretation of human origins. He referred to certain beings as the Paleman, claiming they were not naturally born humans, but failed experimental subjects. This doctrine instilled instinctive hostility toward outsiders. He taught that an evil scientist of the ancient universe created soulless creatures through genetic manipulation. This gave followers a sense of superiority, believing they were the only noble beings. He even claimed they possessed a special organ in their brains to communicate with cosmic civilizations. The outside world is the devil's den. Only this place is the ark. His vitriol from the pulpit was more than truth to his followers. As his mad sermons continued, Tama-Re became an increasingly isolated island of hatred. He even brainwashed children with disgusting illustrations of humans being mixed with beasts. These visuals planted seeds of deep fear. The order of the kingdom was maintained through fear, where even the smallest violation led to harsh punishment and shaming. Former followers testified that life was a cycle of surveillance. Families were broken, and children were raised to be loyal only to the leader. His portrait hung in every room, and his words were defined as the sacred laws for every follower. The leader created his own language, Nubic, to make followers forget the outside world. This compo, the leader created his own language, Nubic, to make followers forget the outside world. This complete isolation meant they could not even communicate with outsiders. He used advanced security to wiretap conversations, giving the illusion that he was truly an omniscient god. Unlike the flashy pyramids, the followers' tables were meager. Malnutrition weakened their spirit and increased dependency. Meanwhile, the leader enjoyed luxurious banquets with the money donated by his followers. A cowardly prosperity built on deception. The Black Pyramids were an unreal sight in the Georgia forest. But up close, the reality was shoddy. Grand-looking sphinxes were fakes made of plywood and styrofoam. It was a decisive symbol, proving that all the leader's logic was a lie. The leader claimed this was an independent nation. He created his own passports and urged followers to renounce their U.S. citizenship. Behind the flashy exterior were dilapidated trailers where followers lived in cramped, harsh conditions, contrasting with the leader's mansion. Economic activity was strictly controlled through a fake currency. Actual dollars went into the leader's pocket, while followers bought necessities at high prices within the compound. Bizarre rituals and collective trance states paralyzed their critical thinking every night. The darkest truth was the leader's mistreatment of children. He summoned young children to his quarters under the pretext of spiritual lineage. While followers believed it was a sacred blessing, it was the ultimate betrayal of innocence. The leader announced the prophecy of the end. He claimed he was from the planet Rizq and that a crystal mothership called Nibiru
is the Tama-Re
would pick them up
compound.
on May 5th, 2003.
Satellite imagery confirms
Followers
heightened activity
disposed of all
here over the
household
last
items,
72
looking
hours.
only at the sky for their salvation. But when the time came, nothing happened. The clear sky was met with desperate silence. The leader blamed the followers' lack of faith, but seeds of doubt had finally begun to sprout. The truth was being revealed as former followers reported his crimes. In May 2002, hundreds of armed FBI agents surrounded the compound. The leader, who had been hiding in fear, was eventually dragged out in handcuffs. During the trial, over 100 counts of child molestation and millions of dollars in fraud were proven. The sentence was 135 years in prison. The man once called a god disappeared forever behind cold prison bars. In 2005, the court ordered the demolition of Tama-Re. The pyramids collapsed into remains of old plywood and styrofoam. Now those ruins are gone, and nature is slowly erasing the traces of madness. The truth did not lie in a distant universe or flashy pyramids. It resided within our own reason and conscience. If you found this story intriguing, please subscribe and like to help us uncover the next truth together. Thank you for watching.